There's a particular kind of crying that only historical fiction seems to do to me. Not the jump scare heartbreak of a plot twist, but rather the slow kind. The kind that sneaks up on you 3 chapters after the sad part. When you're just standing in your kitchen thinking about a character who isn't real, who was never real, and somehow you're wiping your eyes over the dishes. If that's ever happened to you, you're in the right place. Today we're talking about why historical fiction seems to get grief right in a way so much other fiction doesn't, and which books do it best. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tanya E. Williams, and I've spent the last decade writing historical fiction, and I'm excited to be your guide to the best stories history has to offer. And if you're back again, thanks for being here. Here's a theory I've come to believe after 10 years of writing in this genre. Historical fiction doesn't just tell you a sad story, it gives grief room. When a novel is set in 1920s Vancouver or wartime England, the author already has permission to slow down. Nobody's rushing you to a resolution in 20 minutes because there's a plane to catch. The pacing of history itself, seasons changing, letters taking weeks to arrive, a war that just continues, gives sorrow the space it actually needs to breathe on the page. And I think that's exactly what readers are craving when they search for historical fiction that will make you cry. Not melodrama, not a story engineered to wring tears out of you, something that mirrors how grief actually works. Slow, uneven, and eventually survivable. Let's talk about a few that do this beautifully. Susan Meisner's As Bright as Heaven is a book I think about often. It follows the Bright family, a mother, a father, and their 3 daughters who moved to Philadelphia in 1918, hoping to leave behind the grief of losing their infant son. And then the Spanish flu arrives. What makes this book remarkable is that Meisner tells it through 4 different women's eyes, and every one of them grieves differently. One turns to nursing, one to photography, and another retreats into her imagination. It's proof that there's no single right way to grieve, even inside one family. Then there's The Book Thief, Markus Zusak's novel, narrated famously by death itself. It's set in Nazi Germany, and it earns every one of its tears because it never once asks you to feel more than the story has built up to. The grief in that book is layered in slowly, book by stolen book, until it's unbearable in the best way. And if you've read Kristen Hanna, and if you're here you probably have, The Nightingale does something similar. 2 sisters in occupied France, and a loss that isn't one single moment, but an accumulation of small ones. That's the pattern I keep noticing. The historical fiction that really gets grief right rarely gives you just one big cry. Instead, it gives you 50 small ones as well. I want to be honest about something because I think it matters. Not every book marketed as emotional earns that word. Sometimes what gets sold to us as heart-wrenching is really just melodrama wearing a sad book cover. It's tragedy stacked on tragedy without any of the quiet in between. The historical fiction that actually gets grief right does the opposite. It trusts the reader. It shows you a character folding laundry or writing a letter they'll never send or just going quiet at dinner, and lets that be the moment that breaks you. It isn't always found in a big dramatic death scene. The restraint is what separates a story that moves you from a story that's just trying to. I'll admit, this is something I'm sitting with right now in Book 5 of Hotel Hamilton. My protagonist is finally facing the grief she's been outrunning for years, and it's the very thing standing between her and the next chapter of her life. I won't say more than that. You'll have to wait for the book, but writing her through it has made me think about grief from a different angle. It doesn't ask you to forget. It asks you to finally lay something down. So if you've ever found yourself crying over the dishes because of a book, you're not alone, and you're not being dramatic. That's historical fiction doing exactly what it's built to do. If one of these, As Bright as Heaven, The Book Thief, or The Nightingale, is new to you, I'd start there. And if you want more where this came from, the companion blog is available on my website. Thank you for being here, and until next time, happy reading. But you might want to keep those tissues handy.